Now today's video is all about that, on what to look for when you buy a used car. So I'm going to show you 5 tricks to look into a car when you're buying a car, and if you find and if those are okay, I mean your car is going to be lasting for a long time. Let's start showing you what it is. So the first,
we are the brave, we are the bold, we can be anything, anything, anything. We are the light, we light the dark, we can do everything, everything, everything.
and welcome to another video, and welcome to the BMW 318. Now today's video isn't about this car, but it's a very different kind of video. So I was thinking, when you're buying a used car, there are several thoughts. I mean, which car to buy, which brand to go for, and what exactly to look for in a second-hand a used car. But there are very vague details if you go on the internet, which tells you what to look for specifically in a car. Now today's video is all about that, on what to look for when you buy a used car. So I'm going to show you 5 tricks to look into a car when you're buying a car, and if you find any of these 5 points that I mentioned, any of this is wrong, then you shouldn't just go ahead with buying that car. These 5 points will be precisely the points that you should be looking for, and if those are okay, I mean your car is going to be lasting for a long time. Let's start showing you what it is. So the first thing to start off when you get into a used car is first to see if there are any oil leakages. Now how can you do that is basically you start the car, and what you do is, the first thing you do is check, before starting the car, just check all the pipes, basically the coolant pipes, the intake pipes, and there are several different pipes that you can check, the brake pipes, everything, all of that, and just make sure there aren't any leakages. But another top tip is, once you start the car, just move the car a little behind or in the front and check underneath the puddle, because now if the car is leaking and it is sitting for a while, it surely would have given you a bit of oil down, which is an indicator that there is something wrong with the car, and maybe a gearbox leak or an engine oil leak, or somewhere there's a leakage basically from the transmission side, and that is why there is a puddle of oil underneath it. Basically, if the car is sitting overnight, it should show you that, and that's the first point that you should look for. Now the next point is very interesting. Now you have to basically check the exhaust. There are like different types of smoke that you should notice once you start the car. Now the first of the smoke is, if you get a white smoke from the exhaust tips, then basically that means that there is a coolant that is burning inside the exhaust. Now that can be because the engine block is basically inside, is mixing, the coolant is actually entering inside the cylinders, and then it is actually burning off, and that is why you get a white smoke. Now the next type of smoke is a little bluish smoke. Now if you tend to see a grey bluish smoke, now that basically means that there is an oil that is going into the cylinders, and that is burning its way out. Now an engine oil leaks into the cylinders and inside the engine block, because the pistons have the piston rings around. Now that makes sure that there is a compression inside your cylinder which is airtight, and in order to make sure that that pressure is maintained inside the system of the engine and the piston blocks and the cylinders. Now that happens once the piston rings, they start degrading. So what happens is the pressure goes down, and what that does is the oil which is underneath the engine block, which is helping in lubricating all the parts, that oil starts to go into the cylinders, and that starts burning from your exhaust tips. Now the third type of smoke that you should be wary about is when you get a black smoke. Now black smoke is an indication that it's the engine is burning rich fuel, and there isn't enough of air, or probably less air and more fuel, so it's a fuel rich mixture, and that is why there is a black smoke that is coming out, and it's an excessive burning of fuel. Now, what happens is when you floor, the car wouldn't show you the black smoke initially, but when you floor or when you try to increase the rev of your engine, and if you spot it and there's a black smoke, that means it's an indication that it is burning oil for the fuel for sure. Now the third point to look for, and this is also a very important point, is to look for the rust. Now if the car is very old, or if the car is being washed basically every single day with a lot of water, then there are chances that the car is rusted. Now how to figure that out is, probably if you're buying a used car and the dealer has a jack facility, make sure to lift the car up and see the underside of the car to make sure there is no rusting, and make sure the chassis isn't rusted, and the major pipes, I mean exhaust pipes, will be a bit rusted because over the time they tend to get rusted, but that's still not a problem. But other pipes like the brake hose, the main chassis, the members, and all of it around, make sure to check that. And a top tip is, if the dealer doesn't have a jack, then what you can do is use your simple cell phone, switch on your camera, switch on the lights, the camera lights, and just go underneath, swipe the camera under the body, your phone under the body, and just make sure to check that video out and see if there are any signs of rusting. Now the fourth point is to check for cloudy oil. Now cloudy oil is basically when the engine block is mixing the oil and the coolant. So when you release the oil from the transmission, you would find as a very, or the engine oil, you would find it very cloudy, which is kind of opaque. And the best way to find out is when you see the dipstick and you take that out and see if there are any signs for any blackish or even the smoky color. But if you spot that the smoky liquid, the oil, then make sure to get that changed, or because the problem may be that there is a gasket issue with the engine, and that is why all the fluids are mixing inside, and that is the reason why there is a cloudy oil. So make sure to get that checked. Another important point is to also check for the belts, the engine belts, the alternator belt, and every single belt that you can find on your engine. If it shows any signs of any wear and tear, make sure to just get that replaced, or if the dealer doesn't replace it, make sure to stay away from that car, because over the time the belt may give up, or if you're on a long journey, the belt may just give up and you would end up with a bigger problem. Now the fifth and another important point to check in a used car is the dashboard lights. Now whenever you switch on the car, and after a while, just give it about 5 seconds or something and just wait for any dashboard warning lights. Now dashboard warning lights are pretty much the very important signal from the car which indicates what is wrong with it. And there are certain categories of warning lights which, if they are popping up on your dashboard, then that means it's a very critical issue. If they are the red ones, basically to deal with the engine, or if the orange one, I'm sorry, basically to deal with the ABS, the engine, or so many different lights, and those are very important. And if they pop up, that means there's a very serious issue either with the ABS system or the electronic system with the car, or an engine problem, which may be a very big bill later on once you buy the car. So make sure to just check all the lights basically shouldn't stay on your dashboard once you start the car, and that's an indication that the car is in a proper condition. Now I've also made a video, the link should be coming up anytime now out here, and the video is basically on the 15 different warning signs from your dashboard that you should be making sure not to miss it out. And because if you spot them on time and get it corrected, or whatever the fault is in the engine or with the car, if you get that corrected on time, then you may save a lot of money and time in future. So make sure. Ooh, that's a lot of wind. It's quite a windy day. I don't know, whenever I start filming, it just becomes too cloudy and very windy. But again, it's a very cool day, and who doesn't want a cool day? Anyways, so yeah, so just make sure that you get your dashboard lights figured out. So those were the 5 important points that you should consider while buying a used car. As I mentioned before, if there are any problems or if any of these 5 signs are visible in the car, then just do not go ahead with buying that car. Anyways, as you can see, it's become quite dull and it is about to rain any moment soon. As a matter of fact, I can already feel some drops falling, and I'll be making more of these kinds of videos as well, as you all have requested, and I am working on that to make sure I get more of these helpful videos for you guys. And also in the meantime, make sure to check out my other videos. A lot of trips and a lot of personal user experience about this car is also going to be coming up on my channel, so make sure you subscribe to that as well. And in case you have any suggestions about what my next video should be on, or if you have any topics in mind, make sure to write that in the comment section below. Give it a thumbs up if you like this video, and make sure to share and subscribe for more videos to come. Until we meet next time, bye bye.